Okay, Blair, tell me when we're rocking and rolling.
We're rocking and rolling.
Okay. Hi, Reuben.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good.
Right on.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Nice.
I'm Tommy. I'm the artistic director here. And you're Reuben Bullock?
Yeah.
Okay. Reuben the Dark is your artist name?
Yeah.
And how long have you called yourself, identified yourself as an artist? Has it been since you were very young, or was there a point in your adulthood where you made the switch from something else?
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know if I've thought of that before. But, I mean, when I was young, I spent the majority of my, creative time on a skateboard. So I skateboarded, kind of professionally, I suppose, or, as close as you can get to that in Canada. From 13 to 20.
Okay.
And I also, I did a lot of writing. So I was constantly journaling, writing poems or short stories, not really knowing what I was doing with it. And I don't know if during those times, though, I would have actually considered myself an artist. I didn't really associate with what I was doing with being an artist.
Yeah.
And even, I picked up a guitar when I was probably 22, something like that, kind of after the skateboarding years when I was getting too many injuries to keep doing it. And I just jumped in as deep as I could go, kind of immediately, and just started writing and writing and writing. As soon as I learned how to play chords on a guitar, I realized I had this repertoire of songs that were poems that, so I started piecing it all together. And but even then, I still had a job as a carpenter, and it's just even recently that I'm kind of coming to terms with looking at my life and understanding that I live the life of an artist. Because I did it before I knew or understood the associations, or I did it before I knew that that's what I wanted to do. It was such a heart calling that I had to do it, and then was kind of just made aware of it after the fact. It was oh, I guess I'm an artist.
Yeah.
I guess that's what you call this. I
Yes.
have spent a decade plus on the road. Every spare moment of my time, I write or I create, or it's been such an immersive, full experience of just living that lifestyle for so long. But I still think it's interesting when I meet up with a bunch of other people who consider themselves artists, and I'm right, we have a lot of common ground.
Yes.
Even though I feel I've kind of operated on an island for a lot of the years of my creative life.
It's a metaphorical island.
Metaphorical island.
Yes.
Of just not understanding the greater community of being an artist, and being very self-contained, and just trying to get things out of my head and my heart, and not really understanding that I'm tapping into a greater community of people that have come before me and people that surround me. So yeah, I still I definitely consider myself an artist, but I don't know at what point that happened. Maybe just in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
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 Oddly enough, even though I've been doing this for a very long time, all in. So that's my long answer.
That's wonderful. That's amazing. Thank you for just running your mind out on that one.
Yeah.
Well, that's neat. It gives me a couple questions, and the first is, are any of those poems from your teenage years in songs that you still play today live?
Yeah, I think so. I probably couldn't reference them without really thinking about it.
Yeah.
But a lot of that stuff, it tends to cycle and regurgitate over and over until you get it right.
Yeah.
A lot of these things that I've written, they'll just haunt me until they find their place in a song.
This is a life lesson. You keep getting another opportunity to learn it.
Yeah. And sometimes it doesn't fit, and sometimes it didn't belong on a page, and sometimes it didn't belong in a song.
Mm-hmm.
And learning how to use and utilize that kind of inspiration when it comes to you. So when I have something that's feels powerful, and I spent 2 hours scribbling it onto a page, there's a good chance that in my lifetime it's going to end up in some of my work that becomes public.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the chore of honoring your inspiration. Yeah. And when it really hits you, to be don't just leave it, incorporate it into something, bring it forward, because if it moved you at the time, even if you're a high school student with a notebook thinking your poems are going to change the world, there's something in there that like still needs to be a part of you that you express. So I'm sure if I went back through all my high school notebooks, there would be like a lot of lines that are in my songs currently.
Yes.
Just because it all exists up there constantly anyway.
Yeah, it does. It turns itself over and again and again and again. Yeah. I've written so much and recorded so much music, but it hasn't been released. Like the release cycle stopped, and so now I've just been writing for years and years.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to reconcile. Like, I wonder if that music is going to see the light of day, and I wonder if my life path has just swung away from that, but I still have the urge to like create all the time.
Well, there's a balance of that stuff, because like as much as I say not everything that I've done, not everything that I've written, not every song I've recorded, there's this element of it which is not being too precious with your darling baby songs, you know, sometimes, and that is like what you navigating that world is what defines you as an artist. The choice, the curating, you know, like, and that's the hardest part, because I just want to think that every single thing that I write should have its day, you know, and I think elements of it, you know, and sometimes the thing that you wrote, its day, it was never supposed to be seen, you know, like sometimes you have to write something to let it go, to write something else.
Nailed
and then
that.
it's up to you to know which one's which.
Yes.
You know, the thing that's burning at you to either be like released publicly or released as in like let go of and buried, because those two urges could feel very similar, and it's like that's on the artist to understand, to be like, okay, is this calling, is this burning, yearning feeling because I need to get this out into the world, or because I need to like bury it and move on from it, you know?
So how do you differentiate?
It's tough.
It's like listening to your intuition. It's this soft whisper.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
how do you know?
Well, I think that it's a combination of things. Like personally, I try to remove my ego from it and say like, just because I wrote it and I think it's good doesn't mean that the world needs to hear it, you know? Because, you know, as much as I want to think that everything that I do has been touched from like whatever angel it gives me any kind of songwriting ability, you know? Sometimes it was in exercise, and I think that like there's a measure, and I try to really keep track of when I was writing it and how I felt when I was writing it and the process, and then where I am in my life right now, where the world is at this point in time, you know, how society feels, how community feels, how politics feel, you know, and if there's a time where something from the past, like you feel, you're like, this is the time for it, like you have to gamble on it.
Yes.
And the downside is that sometimes you'll make the wrong decision, you know, and you'll release something and it won't connect, and then that kind of just gives you more information moving forward. Like it's your own personal gamble stuff, because I don't have any advice on how to do it right, but I think the act of being decisive is really helpful.
Yes.
The act of movement and like forward motion is really helpful, because the condition of like getting stagnant is not. So even if you're writing a bunch of music and you're not releasing it, to make that intentional can be really powerful. Because you're like, I've written 40 songs and I haven't released them because I need to clear them out of my system because the next 10 I write are going to be the ones. Then that's like a part of a plan, you know? And sometimes that is like, that's all you need. Yeah. Because the way to just not get so bogged down by so many things. Yeah. Because I'm the same way. I easily have 40 unreleased songs right now, and there's something about each of them that I think is really beautiful, but I'm not at a point to release 40 songs outside of a record cycle, or like 40 singles, or like as much as I want to share it, and you know, so I'm trying to learn different ways of getting that stuff out of me so I can keep moving through and not be so hung up on everything I've done that no one's heard yet. Because there's like, they expire.
They do.
You know?
I want to swing wild.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about something I really like about the Mateada, this place, is that we have a lot of shows here and we activate for a lot of community, and it's kind of a place that sometimes runs at a loss in order to accommodate the up and coming and the established art that passes through, and give the island sort of a hub and more of a scene. And was there a place when you were coming up, so you skateboarded and were athletic, like an athlete basically, at a semi-pro, pro level, as high as you can get in Canada, as you say, and then discovered music in your early 20s, and then when you were nursing that, was there a place, you grew up in Calgary?
Yeah.
Okay, was there a place in Calgary that you could go and play or go see other great bands or artists on a regular basis that gave you that sense of support and community?
Yeah, definitely.
What was that place?
There's a couple.
Nice.
One was a cafe called Weeds Cafe.
Weeds Cafe.
Yeah, it was maybe Weeds Cappuccino something, but Weeds Cafe was, all I ever knew it to be. It's still around today too. And they were somewhere that they were just like super open and welcoming, and so much so that I had to get over some severe stage fright performing, and I was doing open mics for so many open mics, just kind of cutting my teeth. And then I started a music night there, like kind of an open mic with friends, and I was able to play there endless hours, just like I put in thousands and thousands of hours just playing in that place. And then also I was a part of this market, an artist market collective. It was called Market Collective in Calgary. And
on the nose.
Yeah. Simple, exactly what it was. A bunch of vendors, a really, really cool space. And I actually began booking all of the music, myself included, for every weekend of the market, and trying to get as many people on the stage as possible. And I would also have my slot where I would play. And so that kind of a community right there really gave me this like feeling of confidence, because we all did it together. Like there was such a feeling of like collectiveness, where we almost built the hub, and I mean I was a part of it to an extent. Like I worked on all of the music, but like the fact that so many artists and makers and creators were coming there, and then there was a stage every weekend that anyone could kind of play on it, but it was also curated in a way where we really wanted emerging up and coming people to be on the stage. And then doing that kind of month after month after month, having a space where you could see amazing people play, and also people who were just beginning, like myself, and to be like intermingling and understanding that we're both doing the same thing. But those would be the two hubs for it. One was just a coffee shop, and amazing things came through there, and they really supported the arts and music. And then the Market Collective was great and so impactful on me being able to be a part of a greater community of a bunch of people you get to meet who are doing the same thing that you're doing, because it's so key to surround yourself with other people who are trying to do the same thing that you're doing.
100%.
And then the back end of just like folks that are organizing and setting everything up and holding a space for like artists of different places in their career to perform and have an audience that will see them. Yeah.
It has a piece of your heart.
For sure, yeah. It's like that's like the first place I ever like strummed a guitar publicly. Yeah. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll ask you one more quick question about collaborating. I think that from the brief research I've done on your group, you have done quite a few collaborations, and most recently with the Bullhorn Singers from Southern Alberta, which is a drumming and singing group, Indigenous group, who are amazing from what I've heard. Yeah. And I'm sure mixing those styles was challenging, but seemed like, from the footage and audio I've heard, extremely rewarding. And I find myself as an artist, I don't intuit to collaboration. It's like a muscle I've had to strengthen because of the sort of, selfish is the wrong word, but a lot of my creative process sounds similar to yours, where it's like it's coming through and out, and it's sort of a soul necessity. I'm working through things in my head, and then it's been more difficult to like strengthen that muscle to collaborate. So when you do collaborations with other people, is it hard? Is it hard for you, or does it come naturally now?
There's two sides to that. I think like what we're doing with the Bullhorn Singers is very natural.
Cool.
And it's been so effortless and exciting, and it's been like taking our music to a whole new level. And a lot of that we've done so far is just carving out space in existing songs I've already written for them to like riff and come up with parts. So that has been slightly different in the collaborative sense, where like I'm already very happy with the song, and then we like will rework different sections.
I'm gonna pause you for a second because you have a single
like a
fluff that had migrated down your forehead. Okay, please continue.
But yeah, with the Bullhorn Singers, we our collaboration is it fills everything with like so much energy. Like we weren't intentionally planning on collaborating. We got in a room together and something just happened and we followed it.
Yeah. So
it informed me way before I had the idea of doing something like that.
Yeah.
I kind of felt like it was this gift, like the universe was saying like, hey, meet these guys, you know? And then immediately we had chemistry, and it made our music soar in a way that it's never like felt like that before. So it was very simple to just keep going with them. Collaborating with other songwriters, difficult.
Yes.
Yeah. And I do a lot of work like that with sync and film, television stuff, where I work with multiple producers. Mostly I'm the only songwriter, but the occasion, you know, comes around where there's another writer in the room and I have to work with them. And yeah, it's a very difficult thing. And I spent years feeling sick to my stomach about it.
Yeah.
And then I learned how to collaborate, and what you can pull from collaborations is, if you're doing it right and you're with the right people, you can do something that is bigger and better than yourself, and you can also like just branch out and you can learn something. You grow your writing skills. So I definitely do it more and more. Not really like for the Reuben the Dark stuff, because that project is so close to home. But I have so much fun doing it on different projects. But I think the staple of my band and my personal project will always be that direct connect from like, you know, head to heart to pen to guitar to voice. Like it needs to have that conduit, be like, have nothing in between it.
There's a song right there. Head to heart to pen to voice. Yeah. Sweet.
Totally.
Reuben, thank you so much.
Yeah,
Looking
thank
forward
you.
to seeing you play tonight, and thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, man.
All right.
Sweet. I gotta put some more water in this guy, or do you drink it in a bit?
So I'll top you up, and then you can take this thermos with you and just keep nursing it. Be cautious. It gives you a lot of energy.
Yeah. I could use a little bit of it. So.
Okay, well there it is in a Stanley. Thank you very much.
Thanks, man.